Good morning, everyone. It's Dodie, and I'm back with part 4 of Lilac Dreams. Now, I have a few things to tell you about this. Today, what we're going to do is I'm going to work on making the cover. If it doesn't take too long, I will segue into some of the ephemera. But I have to tell you, and I'm going to show you this first before we work on the cover. I did bind it. Now, the reason I did bind it was because the binding method I use to make these journals is really, really hard to show on a video. And I didn't want to mess this up after all the work I put into it. And it can be journal destroying in a way. But just so you'll understand what I did, this is what it looks like right now before I put it into the cover. And just so you can see, I poked 5 holes in each signature. I started at the top and I wove my way down, and then I wove my way back up to fill in each of the sections, ending back up at the second poke. And then I had a really long piece of thread. And then I started in on the second signature and I had a little thread that I left at the top hole, the first hole that I began with. And I started at the second hole on the second signature, worked my way down, worked my way back up, tied it off so that it was tight, and then added on the third signature. And the way they join together is you have to pick up the threads from the previous signature sewings. And it looks messy. It doesn't look nice and neat, but it works really well so that you can create these separate signature journals without having to have 3 different seams in the spine. So that's what I've done. I will try to work up my courage to make another journal someday where I try to show that on camera, but truly it's just, I find it stressful to do 3-hole pamphlet stitch on camera. So I'm sorry. This is just one of those things you may have to play around with. I'm sorry, but we are going to make the cover. So here we go. What we're going to do for the cover is, because I don't have my brown packing tape that I used for Pink Lemonade, I've taken a piece of really pretty decal-edged watercolor paper. I've got my golden semi-gloss gel that I'm going to use. I'm going to open that up. And I have prepared a piece of paper from Lilac Dreams. I have printed this on rice paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my gel and I'm going to spread it across like this. And I even found, I'm so excited, I even found the lace I used for Pink Lemonade. So I'm going to be able to do the same kind of lace treatment to this journal that I did with that one. So what you do is you spread the gel medium all across your watercolor paper, and you want it to be everywhere that you're going to want the rice paper to touch, and it dries really quickly, so you just need to get it on, and then you need to take your paper that you've prepared, and then you just apply it, spread it down very gently. Rice paper tears really, really easily, so you do not want to abuse the rice paper. And then I take another layer and very, very gently, because it can create havoc. I have sometimes made these types of journal covers and had to do them 2 and 3 times to get them to look right. So I want to do it on the first try with this one. So I'm just very gently going over the top of the rice paper. This gives it a nice little gloss. It adheres it to the watercolor paper. It's nice because the watercolor paper, the speckled quality, the bumpy quality of the watercolor paper does come up through the rice paper, so it has a degree of texture to it. Now I can feel that I don't want to do any more down that away or it's going to rip. So I've put enough on here, and now it needs to dry, and it needs to dry. So just so you'll see what I've done, I have for the time being created a fold up pocket with my watercolor paper, but I am not going, I may or I may not keep this. It depends. But for now, I'm going to leave it. But right now, what I think we're going to segue into is we're going to start making some of the ephemera that's going to go into this journal. So I have printed several of the pages from Lilac Dreams, and they're all, this comes from Parisian Days. I can't remember the name. It's Parisian. Yes, it's Parisian Days. That's this kit right here. I want to comment about this Parisian Days. Sam has, in several of her kits, used whatever the source is for this gorgeous, gorgeous writing that I can't get over. I think you've heard me talk about the 1819 writing that I love to use. Well, this is the 1818, and I think it's written by the same person, but it's just so lovely. So I'm going to use this for something. I've reduced in size this page. I'm going to use particularly this and the stamps, and I do think I'm going to maybe use the shoe. And then I've reduced inside this as well because this makes a perfect journal card. This is a perfect, these are perfect little tuck-in things, and that as well. So what I like to do when I print on cardstock, I could print on the back, but the printing on the back uses up so much yellow ink. It's not even funny when I print with fox paper, and sometimes I do it. I like to do it. I make so many ephemera pieces that I just, first of all, I like the quality that it lends to the piece of ephemera. I want these pieces of ephemera to last. Like, for instance, I know this is paper, but I like the thought that maybe someone has a journal and passes it down to a daughter, and while the ephemera won't be as new as it was when they first got the journal, I'm hoping it will withstand the test of time. So I love to back all of my ephemera with coffee dyed paper. Now, I don't make my own coffee dyed paper. That is something I plan to do in retirement. I'm hoping to experiment with that a lot. I have done it, but it is so time consuming. I have limited hours in my studio because I work full time. And so right now there are so many amazing women who make coffee dyed paper and sell it on Etsy. I am a major advocate for supporting people on Etsy. I have been with Etsy since 2008. Etsy to me is an amazing, amazing source for craft materials, for handmade crafts. I'd say me using Etsy is like me paying my electric bill. I spend money at Etsy every month. Anyway, so there I will list below the name of this particular coffee dyed paper, which is a new person to me, and I love it. I've really been happy with it. I'm going to list her name below, and also my usual supplier of coffee dyed paper, who is amazing, and I adore the quality of her coffee dyed paper as well. So I'm going to just let this dry a bit before we go off and cut it. The other thing I do, and I'm actually going to grab it and show it to you during this session just so you'll see how I handle the curling up that happens when you line your cardstock with coffee dyed paper. So I'm just gonna quickly apply all the coffee dyed paper to all of these pages I printed out, and then I'm going to show you how I deal with them once I've done that. Okay everyone, I want you to meet my flower press, Smith & Hawken. I did buy this from Smith & Hawken in the 1980s. They, of course, have gone out of business. They no longer exist. The flower press is no longer made. I have seen it on eBay. You may be able to pick one up on eBay. I use this constantly. In the 80s, I used it to press flowers. And then when I began my paper journey, I use it to press paper. Now, this one is a dual functional paper flower press because I have both. As you can see, I've got some baby's breath being pressed in here. I've got lots and lots of hydrangeas, and I have lots and lots of pansies and ginkgo leaves and all kinds of stuff. So what I usually do is I just search around down to the bottom. Oh my gosh, look at what I found. This is fun, a discovery. Don't you love discoveries? Okay, here's a discovery. I obviously pressed, I was making a journal, and I obviously pressed a bunch of tags that I was making and forgot about them. Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. And this one's really cool, but these are for another journal, so we'll just set those aside. And what we're going to do is we're going to take these papers. Now you can see I've glued them, and they're very wrinkly, and not wrinkly, but they're very warped. They're very, very warped, and I want them to be nice and dry and not warped. So first I'm going to get rid of this baby's breath. I'm going to take it out. I need to get some more. That's the last of my baby's breath. So let me see what I've got going on down here. I need another piece of cardboard. Here we go. I'll use this one. Okay, let me just get those back in there. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay these out like this and just put the cardboard down and put the lid back on. The saddest thing that happened to my flower press is it got stained. I can't remember what stained it. That was very sad. I tried to get it off, but I couldn't because this is very rough wood. So I'm going to just twist it. And if you can find yourself this kind of a flower press, even if it's not beautiful and wooden and gorgeous to look at like mine is, I love this. I love the way it looks. I think they're a really great investment, especially if you're a journal maker, because they can really reduce bulk in your journals and really create some beautiful ephemera. So here are some of the ephemera pieces that I pulled out before I even started constructing the journal, because they came in the papers I was printing. I believe these come from the Parisian Days. I love these. These come from Lilac Dreams. This is actually something I pulled myself from Raw Pixel. I love this couple. I do want to include them. This comes from another one of Sam's kits. It's my favorite one. It's the one about Paris, France. I love this. I'll think of the name. I'm having Alzheimer's. Sorry. And then this, of course, is one of my new favorite Sam creations that I will use over and over. So I'm not sure. This couple, as you recall, are going to go behind the veil right here. So I don't think I can use that frame. I think I just have to stick them right there. But I do need to back them. They aren't backed. So we need to back them as well. And then we will, of course, have to stick them in the flower press. This couple may work really well in the frame. They do. So I may put them in that frame and we'll work on embellishing them. But for now, here are all my scraps from the work I was just doing on covering things. And I think even though it goes over a little bit, we can trim her down. I'm just going to quickly put a back onto her, and then I think we'll work on embellishing her. We'll get her going, and we'll work on some embellishment for her to make her look really pretty. Now, because she's probably going to be tucked in, I think the embellishment that I do for her is going to be mainly at the top, so that, and let me just make sure I get this so I can cut off the two ends. And the ends are sort of frayed from my paper cutter that I need to buy blades for. I think this is I've been saying I was needing to buy blades since 2025 for my paper cutter, but I really do try really hard to make them last a long time because they are ridiculously expensive. They really are so expensive. So I'm just going to cut off the edges like this of this pretty lady. And this is what I do. I don't do a lot of ephemera making. I'd say the only mass making I do is things like this. For instance, I had these papers all printed, and I did put together these collages, and I sort of mass made these. But I don't make just one kind of a particular item. In a mass making session, I find that my journals, as I go about making them, really do tend to be unique in that I want to make whatever I make to go with that particular journal. So we've got her covered. I'm going to let that dry. She's got a little bit of glue on her front, and I just want that to dry. I'm going to sand it off. Let's do this lady. Now, for instance, I have these odd pieces. I like the look of piecing together leftover pieces of coffee dyed paper. I often patchwork my backs, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to put some glue on, and I'm going to patchwork the back of this lady, starting down here at the bottom, because I can use, this is a nice substantial piece of coffee dyed paper that we can use for another backing project. I love the finished look it gives to the journal cards I'm using, and I usually print all of my ephemera, my journal cards, on the 110-pound cardstock because I like to have them be really, really sturdy, especially if you are going to write on them. You could write on these and the pen won't go through to the picture, for instance, if you use a sort of a ball pointy kind of a pen. So they really do work well for me. I got a little glue on this one too. I need to be more careful. I need some glue pages, but I'm too lazy to get up and go dig around looking for glue pages, so we're just going to wait for it to dry and then just sort of rub it off. Okay, so I've done her, half of her, so now let's do the other half. Let's take, for instance, I had a perfect piece. Here it is. I'm going to just put that on there like that, just patch that together, just like that. And that will make a really nice patched back. I'm going to take that down a little bit, and I'm going to look for the tea-dyed end or the coffee-dyed end, whatever it is. I can't tell. Some of these are tea-dyed papers, some are coffee-dyed papers. And I'm just going to smooth it out just like that. Take that glue off and rub it off onto my glue pants, because I just wear these jeans and they could walk out of this room on their own very proudly because they are so gluey. They have glitter baked into them. They are just really my craft pants. Okay, so I'm going to just trim this one off. Trim off. I'm going to lose a little bit of that coffee dyed edge, but that's okay. I can always re-ink it. Let me just trim it. Okay, so we have those two, and I like the look of it. It gives it kind of a nice patchy look. And sometimes, as you know or may not know, I'm going to say what I sometimes do. I sometimes build pockets into the back of my ephemera so that little other kinds of things can be tucked away in the ephemera. So I've done those. This one needs my favorite little fairy. I love her so much. And I print her off in all kinds of sizes. I've done her large, I've done her small. I think I've tucked her in almost every pink toned sample journal I've ever made. I just love her so much. She, I would say, is one of my sample staples, along with the snippets, the little French envelopes from the, I believe it's Sepia Couture or Noir, I think it's Noir kit, which I have found, I re-looked at the Noir kit recently and saw that I don't know how that I missed this. Sam has a black book cover in that kit, and I am dying to use it to turn into a journal. So that's on my list of things to make this year, along with the 500 other things I want to make this year. I have so many things I want to make this year. So there's my little fairy. And then here's my couple. Now my couple, I'm going to back them. I'm going to patchwork back them. But I'm going to do more to them than just back them. We're going to turn them into one of my pretty, well, they got to lay flat though, don't they? Well, they're just going to have a little bit. I think I'm just going to use doilies. So I'm going to back them, and maybe I'll make a little pocket on the back. So I'm going to back them in a patchwork way with my remaining pieces of coffee dye paper here. I'm going to put that on there like that and spread it down. All right. I'm going to cut it off and then use the other side on the top. Let's see. Like that. Spread it down. Did I glue? Yeah, that was glued. I'm going to trim it. I just adore this picture. I mean, oof. To me, this is just one of the most romantic pictures I've ever seen, and I can tell I'm going to use it over and over and over again. And like I said in my other video, the kit that this comes in, the Valentine's kit, the kit is worth it for that picture. Just totally worth spending the money just to have that picture. Okay, so now I do think I'm going to create a pocket, but before I do that, I am going to ink the back. Still using tea dye for this project mostly. I am going to ink the back, and I do think I'm going to round the edges. But before I do that, I am going to put my pocket on. And to make my pocket, I think I'm just going to use one of the leftover pieces of paper. I'm going to make some little gussets. I'm first going to measure off how much I need. There's my first gusset. And then I'm going to just cut it off here, keeping in mind that I'm going to fold that into a gusset like that. All right, and then I've got to make the bottom gusset. And this would be a perfect place to put, I don't know, something. I'll think of something. Don't worry, I'll cook up something to put in that little pocket. All right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, oh, I know. Okay, I'm going to take my squiggly scissors and I'm going to cut across and just give it a jagged edge like that. Ink it up. And then I'm gonna glue it down. Okay, let's see. And then I'm gonna get one of Sam's stamps out, and I'm gonna stamp something really appropriate back there. Like for instance, oh, I think I've got the idea. So we're gonna have a little story about this couple. This is their engagement picture. I'm gonna go get one of Sam's stamps and do a date stamp. I love Sam's date stamp. I don't stamp as much as I should. I love the stamps, and I just don't do it as much as I should. Let's see, let that scissors out of the way. Put that on there like that. So now we've got a little pocket that we can put something in, like that. I'm gonna go grab a stamp and we'll fix that right. Okay, maybe you guys can help me with this. This stamp has lost its sticky quality, so I always have to use a little glue to keep it stuck down on my stamp thing. And I went to Donna's of Twisted Paper Studio, her workshop in October, and I had all my little stamp pads with me, and I lost 2 of them somewhere along the way. I do not know how I did that. I thought that I had them with me, but I must have not packed them up or lost them in the airport when I was looking through things in the airport. And this is how this got covered in, there we go, that's the right way. Okay. So now let's put this date, 22nd of April. I think 1890 is a good date for this couple. I'm not a very good stamper, but that one worked out pretty good. So that's pretty. Yes, yes, yes. All right, so we've stamped that. But if you know how to keep the sticky on the backs of these stamps, or what do you do to make them retain their sticky quality? I don't know. I'm lost on that one. All right, so I have done that, and let's look at how it looks in the journal under the flip with the pansy tuck. I do think I'm going to round the edges so to prevent that sharp edge from poking my pansy tea bag. I'm going to just give them a rounding. I'm going to round all the edges for them, and we'll just put them in because they're ready to go. And I'm contemplating putting a little tiny violet up in the corner, maybe. Yeah, I like that. Little violet right there. And this goes back behind this very delicate little tuck spot. And there they are. Oh, I love that so much. And we'll put something very flat in the back in their little pocket. Maybe that one of the little French envelopes that I love so much from Sam. Springtime in France. That's the name. She comes from Springtime in France. It's driving me crazy. Sorry I blurted that out. But that's one of my favorite Sam kits, Springtime in France. Alrighty, so we've done that. And we have her. And I think I'm going to round her corners as well. Just because I like rounded corners. I don't know why. I think I try to put sharp cornered things in, but it never does anything for me. So I'm going to just quickly go over her, and let's see. What would she be? I don't want to cover up her face. Where did I have? I think I had her in here originally. And I think she looks good in there. I think I'm going to keep her there. But I wanted to work on my couple. Let's see. First of all, we have to make sure that this frame is not going to be too big. It may be too big for the journal. If I put them in there, that's going to stick up too much. Well, let's see if I just go and I cut this frame down. Okay, I trimmed it down a little bit. The cutting tool aided a little bit, so that was fortuitous. Any aging at all helps. I'm going to age it even more. I'm going all the way around it with my tool. I'm going to bend it and stress it out a little bit like that. And then of course I recently had a person who watches, her name is Cheryl, ask me about my mica. So this is what the mica looks like. It comes in these bags that have this mica tiles in it, and I keep it in the bag so I know that I'm using my mica. But I get it on Amazon. You can just put in the search box in arts and crafts, or just, you don't even have to put in arts and crafts, just in the general search box from Amazon. You just need to put in the search box mica tiles, and lo and behold, you will get the mica to come up. Now I'm going to encase them in some mica. I love the way it looks. It gives it a look of glass, and it gives it a nice, there's lots of aging marks in mica, sort of gray spots and just spots in general. They're wonderful spots. So the first thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to glue it in to the frame. I'm just going to glue the mica into the frame. And I have to say, with mica, I highly recommend art glitter glue. It just really adds a nice, it dries clearly, and it just works really good. Let me just say that. It just works really good. So there they are. I'm now going to glue them down into the frame. And I'm not sure if these were a tin type, the original was a tin type or a daguerreotype. I'm thinking it may have been a tin type by the kind of staining that is on here. Now let me just get this the way I want it. Okay, there we go. And then I always have to decide whether or not I'm going to use this as a suggestion of an old photograph, in that I'm going to let the mica hang over the edges. I tend to like to do that, but it may not work because I don't want it to stick out. So I am going to have to trim my mica this time, and that's what I'm going to do. And I do save all my mica trimmings because I have patched mica into frames before as well, especially Halloween. In Halloween pictures, I love to patch bits of cut mica. And now we need to apply a back to it. And I'm trying to decide if I'm going to use some doily with this one. Now, of course, as you know or may not know, I love to tear doilies. I love doilies the way they look. I love the little rounded edges, and I do save them. But for when I'm actually using them on frames, I may do that. I may do that all the way around and use the torn doily as part of the back, but I'm not going to leave it as the only back. I'm just going to use it like this, and then I think I won't, so that I can, and the doily sticking up at the top will be really pretty. So I'm going to glue that down. I'm going to glue that doily down. And I do want you to know, I just saw that doily sitting on my pile, and I thought, I need to use that. Now let me get the picture going the way I want it to go. Like this. There we go. I'm going to cut that bottom doily off because I don't want it to impede where it's going to sit. It's going to go in this pocket. It'll be okay for the doily to stick up out of the top, but now I'm going to save all my doily bits because you just never know, right? You just never know. You never ever know when you're going to need a doily. And then I'm going to take some of my coffee dyed paper, and I'm going to cut it just a little bit here because I know that's where I need it to be. I should have measured this beforehand, but there's one thing I never do. Especially when I'm improvising, I very, very rarely think ahead. Thinking ahead is not my strong suit. Okay, so we're gonna put that there. We're gonna fold that up here like this. And we're gonna rip it. And there we've got some more for more ephemera. And then we're gonna find, oh my goodness, I tore it, so I need to remark it. Let's see. There it goes there. It's gonna go there. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna glue it. And doilies, they take on this, this whatchahoozit glue, the glue stick glue, and they pile it into those doily crevices. Okay, so I'm going to, I want it to go the right way. Let's see. Oh no, I want it to be over here. Sorry, don't know which way I'm going with my back. I'm gonna put it on there like that. And then I think I'm going to, I'm gonna make it into a little journaling spot. Yes, sirree. Just like that. With, maybe I'll put a tuck spot. So for now, we've got a little journaling spot. I think I'm gonna, oops, I got some glue right there. I am going to get my little wipey things here. And I'm going to wash it off like this. Just sort of clean it off. There we go. I'm not sure if I'm gonna leave. I think I'll just leave it. I may add more to this. I may put a flower on here, but I don't want it to make the journal too bulky. For now, we're just gonna leave them like that and see, we'll see that's really pretty with the doily sticking up at the top. I may come back over the doily with some of my gel medium or with Mod Podge just to strengthen it so that it doesn't go kaput too fast, because it is going to go kaput. There's no doubt about it. That doily's not gonna last a lifetime. That's gonna be something that's just gonna be, okay, so, alrighty, so now we have this, and if I put this, oh, that, she looks so great with the telephone. Oh my gosh, even though she's out of the, that green, those two greens go together so well. Oh, I love that. Serendipity. So for this lady, I'm just gonna round her corners to start. And let's see how that goes. And then I may just put her in just like that because she just looks so good. Just like that. Just her pretty soft French green self just stuck against the pretty soft green telephone snippet. She's a nice little journal card. Yeah, like that. Let me see if I can slide her down. I'm on her face there. That looks nice. There we go. So we've got the married couple in there. Got to put something there. Oh, here we have this lady. I need to flatten her out. She's warping. But where can she go? So it won't go there. No, no, no. Let's see where. Let me just see if I can. I might take my scissors and make a slice there so I can have her sort of stick in there nicely. Or I can definitely get a paper clip and put her in there. Now, I was going to, this piece, which I did back in sort of a lavender blue, that's going in there, right there. And I wonder if she would, I want her face to show. Maybe she should go here with the Paris. Maybe that's what I should do with her. Because, oh, that's like a tuck spot like that. I could cut off some of the top. She looks kind of nice there. We'll leave her there for now. She needs to be trimmed right here. She needs to have her corners rounded. And as I said, I think in another video, not this one, actually, when you have some trimming that you've done that isn't exactly straight, it is amazing how rounding a corner can, the optical illusion, make it look like everything is nice and straight. So we're gonna just trim her off and let's ink her up too. Let's put some ink on her. She looks pretty, and she might be pretty in this pocket too. Actually, I think I like her in there, but I think I'm going to need to trim off her top. And let's just test my theory about corner rounding and uneven cutting. Let's do that right now. We're gonna do that, that's fun. We're gonna take the scissors and we're gonna just cut this off at the top right here, as straight as we can, but of course it's not perfect. And then we're gonna take our corner rounder. Oh, I think I used this corner. Let's see, let's do this one. Like that, and like that. And see, it just looks like it's straight. I swear to God, it's an optical illusion. Because I don't think it really is straight. I think it's kind of crooked. But for now, we're just gonna leave it. And I think I'm gonna put her in there like that. She'll have to have something behind her. I don't know what, but I like her there. Or do I like her over here? I kind of like her there too. I do like her there. Okay, let's leave that open for something more oblong, and let's put her there for now. All right. I am gonna put some words here. I've got to do some searching, but there is going to be something tucked up here. I don't know what. Oh, here, that's the married couple. Gotta find something for there. Oh, we have so many places to stuff. Stuff here, stuff there. We did the sweet little engaged couple. Gotta put something there. Let's see. That flips up. That's all done. But then we gotta fill these little pockets with all kinds of little things. But let's see, for right now, let's stop with the ephemera for just a bit. And let's go and see how the cover is coming along. And that might be how we end the day. All right, everyone. It's been a couple of hours. It did take this at least 2 hours to dry, nice and dry. But it is dry. I did remove the pocket because it just was impeding things. I may add little pockets. I don't know what I'm going to do. Actually, I may cover the inside. I don't know. But this is how it's going to look. I was going to use the lace that I used for Pink Lemonade, but then I just, these things, I'm looking in my lace drawer because I know I found the lace for Pink Lemonade a couple weeks ago. And then I found this that I have been hoarding for the longest time. It's the front of, I think, a chemise. It has buttonholes. It's absolutely delicious. and it is absolutely perfect. And this journal is sold, and the person it's going to, I know, will love this piece of lace. And it will require very little on the front of, I'm probably going to do a big button, mother of pearl button. I don't even want to cut off the end of this. I want this whole piece to stay intact. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in like that, and it will create a little tuck spot right there. And I'm going to take this to my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew it down. And I'm not going to glue it. It's just going to be sewn so that someday, who knows, it could be lifted off the cover. It's just such a beautiful, such a special piece of lace on this lovely, 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 delicate muslin with the embroidery. And it's a woman's chemise. I mean, it's just too perfect. So I'm going to go quickly run and sew this on. I'll be right back. All right, I made the little tuck spot with using the end, and it looks like this. It's really so lovely. It's really just so lovely. And it will go in here like this. And now what we're going to do, there's just that hint of the coffee filter ruffle sticking out on the back. You can see the roses coming through the sheer fabric. I'm going to sew it in, and what I'm going to use to bind it, I think I'm going to try sari silk. I think that's what I'm going to try to use to sew it in with. And I just want you to know, I sewed it along the edge here, so I didn't want there to be stitches along here, so it wouldn't detract from the tiny little buttonholes. Aren't those precious? And I can tell they're hand sewn buttonholes. This was someone's chemise. This is a perfect ladies' journal. It just really is so pretty. All right, so now we need to go and get our needle and thread, our pokey tool, and our sari silk. So I am going to go in through the center signature, the middle of the center signature, because that will obscure the stitching right there and the little pokey holes that are holding it together. I need to line it up just right. Make sure it's just right. Okay. And then I need to get clips. Well, I need to clip this down better. Let's see. Let me do this. Here we go. That's better. There we go. Okay. It's clamped. Okay. Here we go. Hold your breath, everybody. And this needs to come in this way. Perfect. Okay. Now, we have to poke the other hole right down here. There we go. Okay. Goes through. There we go. Okay, so there, it covers up the stitches on the inside. And then we have, let me get all these clamps off. Let me get my needle off. Let's see, there we go. Pull it through. Oops, I'm gonna need to pull it from the inside. There we go, there we go. There. And that doesn't do too much damage. Those could be actually mended if somebody wanted to take it apart. But there we go, like that. Go. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go iron. Okay, I'm back. I ironed. I just want this to be a really pretty bow, but I need it to be really tight. So I'm gonna actually tie a knot before I tie the bow, since this is what's binding it all together. There, like that. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to tie a pretty bow. Let me fix it. I don't want it to be that big. Let me start over. Sorry, I'm concentrating. This is the kind of stuff I do between my knees usually. It's hard for me to do it not between my knees. Oh wait, no, other way. Sorry. Here we go, this way. There. This is gonna be a long video, you guys. I'm gonna try to edit out some of the stuff, but we're gonna finish off with this cover. And then if you want, I'll do a 5th flip through with all the ephemera. Oh, that's pretty. Okay. Let me trim this. There. And there. Let me go and grab a button to try out on. Okay, I think I found the perfect button. It has shades of lilac in this beautiful mother of pearl button. It's really a very old button. I did sew it down, and I had to do that in my lap. There are just some things I have to do things in my lap, and it's just too hard to show. So when I open it up, I'm going to do more work on the inside to just make sure the button is really secure. I've just cut a little round piece of the watercolor paper, and I'm just going to glue it down on top of the stitches just to give them some extra security, to hold that in place and to hide the stitches. But I also am thinking I may come back and I may add the pocket here like this. I do have this lace that I may add on top of the pocket. In fact, I think that is really pretty. So these are the things that I'm thinking of doing. I'm going to end the video here. It's been a really long video, but here she is. She's almost finished. Let me know if you want to see the final flip through after all the ephemera is made and added to the journal. But for now, this is pretty much how she's ended up. I think I'm not going to ruin the cover with anything more. I don't want to glue anything on there. I just think it's beautiful the way it is, just very simple and pretty. And there's enough going on inside the journal that she doesn't need too much going on outside. But I do think I'm going to strengthen this inner cover, and I do think I'm going to add those pockets as well. So I hope you enjoyed this series, everybody. Be sure to let me know if you want the flip through. And I'm so excited to have made this with you. I'm sorry I couldn't show you the binding, but it was just too difficult to do on camera. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Have a really great week. And I'm trying to think up something to do next. I have some ideas bubbling in my head, but I really appreciate you coming along for the ride. Bye, everybody. Take care. Have a good week.